I'm Scottlin. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me here today on my show, Your Inner Genius. It's so great to have you here. And please leave your questions below, your comments. And if you would be so kind, like and subscribe below to help me keep this content coming for you and to bring it to other people too. And please do send your questions for the show, whether it's questions that just came up or questions that you have been thinking about during the week, because I'm going to be picking some of those to address on an upcoming episode. So please send those in as soon as you can. All right. So today on Your Inner Genius, I'm talking about 3 ways to bounce back from tough luck. 3 ways to bounce back from tough luck. Have you had some tough luck in your life? Are you having some now? Maybe that's shock. Maybe you're in shock or confused. Maybe you're embarrassed or sad or angry. Or maybe you're just having feelings of injustice or despair. I mean, have you been figuratively knocked off your feet? Kind of got the air knocked out of you? It hurts, right? I've had my own share too of down and out moments, crushing disappointments, abandonment, loneliness, pain, financial fear. So you're not alone. And I'll share some of my own fears and crises that I've had to go through later on the show. But first, I would like to shout out to a couple of viewers today who've written in recently. First of all, Scott from the Pacific Northwest in the United States writes, "I enjoyed your episode, You Are Enough. You brought up some very interesting points, and I probably will listen to it again later today." Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're going to listen again. And I hope you're listening now. And it's fun that you're from the Pacific Northwest, which for those of you who may not know is generally Oregon and Washington State, that area near the Pacific coast, because I'm going to be talking about the Pacific Northwest later in the show today. And I have one more shout out here to Joe from Winnipeg in Manitoba, Canada. Joe says, "Yes, amazing and very nice thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing, Anne." Well, thank you, Joe. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, every one of you. As you know, it makes my day. Seriously, it does. Please keep sending your messages, send your questions for the show, and I'll shout out to some of those soon in upcoming broadcasts. So, as promised, today on Your Inner Genius, I'm talking about 3 ways to bounce back from tough luck. And let me just distinguish here about tough luck versus clinical depression or clinical anxiety. We all have tough luck, and sometimes there's a gray area here as well. But if you have clinical depression or anxiety, if you have become so disrupted that you can't get on with your life or your work, then find a good therapist, get some help now, and get yourself healthy. What I'm really talking about here today is the stuff that gets the average person down, not out forever, just down a bit. That tough luck, just stuff that went wrong, things that have caused you to be upset or discouraged in your life. And those are the items that I'm going to be talking about, sharing with you 3 ways to bounce back from. So what kind of tough luck? I mean, just circumstances, right? Maybe a mistake at work. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you lost your savings. Maybe you owe more taxes than you planned for this year. Maybe you've made a poor life choice, or maybe you're experiencing rejection, professional or personal, or you've been in a bad argument with someone you care about, or you've had a breakup or a bad illness, or maybe you've had a divorce or death of a loved one, and maybe you're in physical pain, maybe you're in a mental pain, maybe you're in emotional pain. Most bad luck involves some pain of some sort, which is why we call it bad luck. And even fear of the unknown can be a painful experience that really robs you of your joy. So how do you recover from that and find your resilience? Well, I love definitions. So resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's having an elasticity, a toughness. And I'm going to share with you these 3 ways that you can be resilient. First way to bounce back from tough luck. Number 1, separate the facts from the fiction. Separate the facts from the fiction. Don't wallow in your story. I used to weave epic stories around some very real facts. Here's some real facts about me. I had a strange childhood without any friends my age. I had crushing professional disappointments. I went through a horrible, horrible divorce. I lived for years and years in chronic pain and had many surgeries, some successful, some more than others. Those are facts about me, but that's all they are. Facts, just facts about me, Anne. I didn't dramatize them just now or exaggerate them to you or live them all over again. I just said them as facts. You can't change what has happened in the past. It just is. It is what it is. And no matter how many times we think and get on that loop in our heads over and over and go through those stories again and again and weave these epic stories into grand tales, it doesn't help us. It doesn't help you move forward and find your joy. So separate the facts from the fiction. Separate the facts from the fiction. Number 2, the second way to bounce back from tough luck. Number 2, remind yourself it will pass. It will pass. Do something active that is positive and find your stride again. If you can just find something that is, makes you feel good, then start doing that. Do something active. And it's kind of like finding your stride in a hike. You guys know I love to hike, right? And I just recently climbed Mount Whitney. You have to find your stride in life and if you're hiking. If you go too fast, if you try to hike with someone whose pace is faster than yours, it really is tiring and discouraging. If you're too slow and you're feeling like you're held back, that's also tiring and discouraging. You have to find your own stride on the trail. You have to adapt. You have to adapt your steps when you have big rocks you have to climb up on or things you have to step over or downhill, uphill. And the same is in life. Accidents happen in life. Maybe you've gotten hurt. Maybe you developed a little limp metaphorically in your life. Well, even if you've had some bumps and bruises along the way, maybe if you have a limp from a bad luck in the past, it's still you. It's still you. You can still find your stride, find your joy, and be generous as you find your stride. This will help you do it. Isn't there someone else around you somewhere that is in difficult times as well? If you can find your stride as a healer, as a helper, as a leader, you can help someone else. And that always helps you find your own stride and give you a sense of purpose and meaning. And don't punish yourself. Give yourself time to find your stride. Give yourself time to catch your breath. Breathe. Give yourself time to stabilize after a shock, whatever the shock is. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind with yourself. You've heard me say it before. Be patient with yourself because it will pass. Nothing lasts forever. It will pass. You know how I know? Because all things change. All things change. So number 2 in ways to bounce back from tough luck, remind yourself it will pass. Just keep that right here, top of mind. It will pass. And number 3, know you are resilient. And this is my favorite one. It's definitely my favorite one. Know you are resilient. Nature has you hardwired to be this way. By the way, did you know you are resilient because you're part of nature? And this is when I was going to talk about the Pacific Northwest. When I was a kid, a teenager, I used to go hiking and camping on the Olympic Peninsula, which is up on Washington State between Puget Sound and the Pacific Ocean. It's like a thumb that sticks out on the end of Washington State. It has the westernmost point of the United States, the contiguous United States. And it is a wild wilderness place of incredible beaches and fog and wildlife and snowy mountains, the Olympic mountains on the Olympic Peninsula. There's even a rainforest there, an evergreen rainforest. But especially on these wilderness beaches is some of the most beautiful trees you've ever seen. Evergreens, cedars, pines, firs, a lot of cedars that are growing right along the cliffs, the vast cliffs of these rocky beaches. And when I grew up, I loved taking pictures of these trees because they are weathered to death from these incredible winds and cold and rain and sleet and snow coming off the Pacific Ocean. Some of them had literally been blown over, but they dug their roots back in sideways even into the rock and just continued to grow. And some of them had the tops broken off. Some of these living trees were twisted like celery. You ever take a piece of celery when you're a kid, just twist it and all those strings come out? And these trees were twisted like this from wind and falling, other trees falling on them. And they had strange shapes and pieces of bark and wood flying out here and there. And they were stunning. Stunning. Some were growing sideways, straight out of the cliff, straight out into space, hanging out over the wild ocean. Unbelievable. And I used to love to take pictures of these trees. These resilient, incredible life forces of nature. And as part of nature, these trees were programmed with resilience. They unknowingly abide by the phrase, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And I would add to that, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger and sometimes even more beautiful. You are like these trees. You were fine when you were perfect and symmetrical, but now you've had some storms in life. You've had some bad luck. You've had some tough times and you've been weathered and moved and twisted and maybe lost a few bits of things. And you are resilient and you are still growing. You are still hanging in there. You are resilient because nature has hardwired you this way. Give yourself some credit already for your elasticity, for your toughness. Get up, innovate, get on life's journey that you have already learned so much from. You're already wise. You're already resourceful. Talk to your inner genius because every experience you've had along the way has prepared you for what you have experiencing right now. What lessons or strengths can be gained from the previous crisis you had? The last time something went rough in your life, what did you do to help yourself work through that? How did you come out the other side? You are resilient. Believe me, you are. So let's review these 3 ways to bounce back from tough luck. Number 1, separate the facts from the fiction. Do yourself that honor. Separate the facts from the fiction. Number 2, remind yourself it will pass. And number 3, know you are resilient. Nature has hardwired you this way. You are resilient. And I want to leave you with a challenge. This is a quote from my upcoming book. Stay tuned to hear more. And you will also find it on my Twitter feed. And here's my challenge that I would like to leave you with today. When you feel at your most vulnerable or discouraged, recognize it as a signal, a call to defy the odds, to be exceptional, to rouse your own courage, and in so doing, to inspire and lead. And I'll say that one more time. When you feel at your most vulnerable or discouraged, recognize it as a signal, a call to defy the odds, to be exceptional, to rouse your courage, and in so doing, to inspire and to lead. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Your Inner Genius. Again, please like and subscribe and send your questions in below for the show, along with your comments under this episode. And you can join me on Twitter at Anne Scottlin, ANNESCOTTLIN, at Anne Scottlin. Also a mini feed on Instagram, also at Anne Scottlin. My website, which is AnneScottlinCoaching.com. And thank you for letting me be part of your journey. And I wish you resilience today. And my other wish for you is to live in your joy today. See you again soon.